Hello, and welcome back. Today is a random episode. I didn't even plan for this one to happen. But when the event happened, I felt like I should talk about it. So we're going to start with an anecdote. As you can see from the last few videos, retrograde's been kicking my butt, and if we're not in retrograde, well, I guess I've just been getting my butt kicked emotionally. But some of my guides specifically have been saying, hey man, some emotions are going to be popping up. Just going to feel them. Just feel them. And I always used to deny myself feeling emotions. There's some videos about that. Me basically just shutting down. Just to give a quick summary, I was raised not to feel emotions. And you're like, well, how does that work? Well, because my parents' nervous systems couldn't handle it, they couldn't handle my emotions either. So if you have a really hyperactive kid or a needy child, and I'm not saying needy in a bad way, it's just I was a medical child, they tend to get exhausted because their nervous system's already on fire. So whenever I try to be just energetic, it's too much for them and they tell me to shut down. I was happy, I was sad, I was angry. I was always told to be something other than what I was being. So I equated that to I'm not allowed to feel emotions. So for the longest time, I would tune them out. I would turn them off or stuff them, which, as we know, is not helpful. So I've been feeling my emotions. As you can see in the last two videos, I was pretty damn emotional. And I'm really hoping the messages came across clear enough. Because again, I was not very grounded. I do feel like I will go back and redo the video. I'm sorry, I'm sitting at a Dairy Queen. I was gonna go in, but apparently the Dairy Queen is closed. But now I'm sad. I was actually gonna get some fucking ice cream. Now this whole ruined video's been ruined. I can't even talk. I can't even act mad. I was trying to say this whole video's been ruined, but I can't even speak. Anyways. So I've been allowing myself to feel emotions. And, they're coming up in really weird, random ways. Like, for instance, sometimes they come with stories, sometimes they don't. Like one day I just went in to go sell something at half-price books and make some money. Well, I do believe that their system is bunk, and the more you go to the store, the less they actually make and give you. It's because of how frequent you've been going. So I went in and I brought in like 3 tarot decks. They only offered me $3. I'm just like, okay, no thanks. I literally, exactly how it went. Go, no thanks, I'll just take my decks. I get in my car, kind of go off to the side, and I just feel the rage well up. So I'm like, okay, what the fuck? You made $3! I just like, I let loose. It's like, I'm not really truly mad at the $3. I mean, I personally am. But as we said, I didn't have to take the offer. I just walked away. So there really was nothing in that situation to trigger me. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to be mad. Let's be mad. I'm supposed to feel these emotions. Feel these emotions. So now we're actually getting to the story of the present. So I have this really cool little phone stand that actually like wraps around. I've showed this in a few videos. And I'll actually wrap it onto my steering wheel. Well, I had intended to do a video, and it was one of those first things in the morning. So I don't know if I was just being irritated or I picked up on somebody else's energy. But basically, I got to the point, I was just really irritated. Something simple. Like, I wrapped this around my wheel, and then the sun kept glimmering in my eyes. So I'm like, alright, I'm at the point, I'm just gonna move. But I'd already wrapped the thing around my wheel. And logically, this is how I went through it. It's like, well, I should probably take that off. Whatever. Fuck, whatever. I'm not even going that far. I'm literally just moving parking spaces. And the second I did that, I knocked it and did all this and I got irritated. So I'm like, I stopped myself. I go, well, obviously that was my fault. No point in being irritated. But I'm still feeling irritation, so I guess I'm going to permit myself to feel it. I'm allowed to feel irritated, even though it was my fault. It was essentially something I could have avoided. But I will still allow myself to feel it. So now, I actually took what was perceived as the issue at the time, and I actually took it and I whipped it. Lightly, kind of. I allowed myself to be irritated. It was that act, that motion of release. So I literally just took it off and just kind of threw it. Well, on there are 2 pieces. This technically screws on. This is the actual base that holds the phone. And as you can tell from the tape on it, it is broke. I broke it. Now, that is the reason I used to hate feeling emotions. It's because I couldn't regulate them. For instance, when I was a kid, anger fed into scarcity. So for instance, maybe I just got screamed at by my dad or something, or I'm having a bad day, and my only venting way is through video games. You know, I'm a kid. I don't have anyone to talk to, I don't have a therapist. I just have video games. So I'm playing my video games, and then I'm getting pissed off at my video games. So I let go of my emotions, and I actually punched my Game Boy screen. Which, of course, turned the entire screen black and fucked up the whole thing. I just lost my Game Boy. And being a kid, I couldn't buy it. So I just had to face the loss that I just effed up my Game Boy. So it's like, okay, Adam, you're not allowed to be angry because you break your stuff. And you're not going to get it back. So that was one of the scarcity patterns I learned, and I'm like, okay, I'm not allowed to be angry. Well, there are safe ways to release anger, but destruction is the fastest way. And that was one of the easiest ways I learned. So obviously growing up, you get to a point and you're like, well, I can't keep destroying stuff. Those video game controllers are getting expensive. It's $50 a pop. And I definitely went through plenty of them. So then it gets to the point of controlled anger, and I'm trying to release it in spurts and allow myself like a safe space to be angry, like I talked about in one of my other videos. So I'm in my car, I'm in my safe space, and I whip it. I didn't think much of it. You know, it's nothing serious. I've whipped this thing before a few times. And I kid you not, like a cartoon, this piece hit the carpet. So I threw it against the door and it hit the floor. And as soon as it hit the floor, just like a cartoon, the entire head exploded, with a part of it still being on here. And I'm just like, I was literally about to do a video. I'm just like, fuck. So I'm like, alright, let's look at it and see if it's truly broken. Just like a cartoon. You know, back in those 90s cartoons, anytime something broke, like a machine broke, you'd see the panel open up and springs just pop out and gears come out. That's no joke what happened. This thing is spring-loaded, as you can see in the back. Okay, just kidding, it's actually hiding the springs because that's the mechanism. But anyways, there's a spring in the back. So again, no joke, like, it exploded. I'm just like, huh. But here's the interesting part that I had to think about. It wasn't the anger that actually broke it this time. I actually had to realize it because this one, I have a couple other ones without the base. So I took this and I screwed it on to another base. Well, goofy me, I took off one of the spacers, the fillers. So, because I just thought for some reason that was just not going to be enough space. So I actually took this and I screwed it on. And it just kept going and going. I'm like, well, maybe it's a lot deeper than I crunch. It's like, whoops. I just kind of unscrewed it and just kind of looked at it. I'm like, well, it seems to be okay. I even put my phone back on there. I'm like, okay, seems to be okay. So realistically, tossing it wasn't even what caused the destruction, what caused it to break. It was just a goofy moment. I don't know. It's kind of goofing. I don't know why I decided to remove the spacer. So it's like literally, it's just a simple mistake. That it just happened to bust when I did that. So it was already broken. So I'm just here sitting here rationalizing all this like, damn. Okay, so what's the message here? Well, to continue the story, I then picked it up and actually pieced it back together. In a way, ouch, that it still works. And that was the biggest part of the pattern that I had as a child. Is if I made a mistake, if I broke something, I don't get it back. There is no do-overs. You don't get to fix it. So, and then because there were times where like I would break stuff like a game controller. And sometimes when I break these things, it's broken in a way that I can still use it. I just kind of piece it back together the best I can. It's like a Frankenstein machine kind of thing. But I always liked actually taking stuff apart, putting it back together, and figuring out how stuff worked. However, I would be too angry to actually put it back together. So I'd be in a state of anger, and I would try to put it back together, which tend to F it up more. So I learned at some point, you break stuff, you make a mistake, that's it. Well, now, I got older, and and this is actually part of what I've been doing, is building my confidence, is even though I broke it, I stopped and I'm just like, alright, looks like I'm going to a thrift store. And I didn't actually try to manifest it. I'm just like, let's just go to a thrift store and see if I can find one. All I need is this piece, so if I can find anything with this piece, whatever. Oh, I also missed part of the story, sorry. So, after piecing it back together, I actually figured out how it worked. It took me about 20 minutes. Clapped it all back together. And again, just like a fucking cartoon, I screwed it all back in. I even put it up here, put my phone on it, everything's good, it's holding it. And then I take the thing, and I set it. I didn't toss it, I actually just gently set it in my chair, and it... Okay, alright, we're going to the thrift store now. I'm not mad, but holy fuck. Like, God. Okay. So I'm like, alright, I'm gonna go to the thrift store. I went to 2 different thrift stores, I didn't find anything, so I'm just like, okay, with that being the case, now I don't get to buy a new one. At least not today. So if I want to do a video, we're just gonna have to do it old school, and as you can tell, I'm not even using it. But so what I did was like, alright, well, I managed to piece it back together. Maybe I'll just go get some super glue. Maybe I'll just get tape, you know. It's gonna do what I did, like I said, piece it back together. But I actually pieced it back together in a way that it works. And I'm just like, that made me feel really good. Something so simplistic, I'm just like, why did that make me feel good? Well, the lesson of the story is, yes, you make mistakes. However, you also have the possibility of fixing them. Even if something is truly broken, that's okay. Even if you can't go back and correct a mistake, you can patch it or upgrade it, in a sense. Say, well, I don't know the term, but there's some Chinese, Japanese proverb, something where you like the broken plates, you fill them with gold. It's a very common thing, I just forget what it's called. And they don't try to hide the cracks, they actually piece it back together with the gold filling inside. So you see it broken as hell, but it's still a really good piece. In fact, people consider it to be more beautiful, because then it's actually not hiding the cracks. Where am I going with this? Oh, so even though it was broken, we patched it back together with, ironically, gold, which is super spiritual, but realistically, you use something to fix it. And we could say that gold could technically be your own power. It was someone's ingenuity, someone's mind who thought of that. They broke it, possibly. And it's like, well, if there's a way to fix it. So what he did was he stepped out of the emotions, grounded, and said, alright, I broke something, let's figure out how to fix it. I made a mistake, let's figure out how to fix it. But oftentimes, like me, you get stuck into a pit of despair. You break it, you see the scarcity, you see the breakdown, and you're like, I fucked up. And that's it. That's where the train stops. People just stop there and get off, and you're like, oh, I screwed up, I made a mistake, we're done. That's it. And I used to be this way. In fact, I'm still trying really hard not to be. Because it's so easy to give up. It's so fucking easy to give up. But then that was literally, that whole story was one giant lesson for me, even though it seemed really insignificant. Because even after that, I literally picked up all the broken pieces and just scooped it up in my cup holder and said, alright, we'll fix it later. And legitimately, it was not the first thing I did. In fact, that was actually at 10-11 o'clock this morning. When I actually got around to recording a video was 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I did not immediately go out of my way to fix my solution or my problem either. I saw the problem. I'm having more problems. But I saw the problem. I stepped back in the situation, came up with a solution and said, okay, and then enacted the solution later. Because again, it was not immediate. So all of that clicked into one long pattern-breaking message. And I'm saying this to me, but say it to yourself as well. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try. It's okay to learn. Even if the world does fall apart, even if you make a mistake and something bad does happen, at least you tried. And now we know that way doesn't work. So instead of being sad, I'm doing my best to make it like a game. Be like, okay. Kind of like the scientific method. A plus B equals C. Well, what happens if I plug into B? What if B is my random, and I keep plugging in random things until I find an equation I like? Not necessarily one that works for me. But in order to do that, you gotta make mistakes. It just really sucks ass. Because you're sitting there and suffering in the mistake like, why did I do this? But then after you get through it, you're like, I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of my life has been, just keep going. Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. And every time I hear that, I basically turn around and say, F you. I'm so done. No. Why should I keep pushing? That's a question you have to answer yourself. I can't give you an answer for that one. For me, for the longest time, I actually did not have an answer. I continued to push and push and push. And that's to the point where I almost gave up multiple times. Because you're like, well, what's the point? You push and you push and you try. But it always seems to end in failure. But as scientists, revels in failure. They love it. In fact, proving themselves wrong is actually one of the best things in the world. Because then the mystery of life kicks in, and you're like, ooh, okay, so if that didn't work, what will? Let's try this. And that's how you actually have fun with life. And then, again, I'm sitting here preaching all this. I feel like a hypocrite because I haven't quite learned this yet. I'm still trying. Logically, I can speak it all damn day. I can word vomit it in 100 videos. Doesn't matter if I don't live it. And that's actually one of the keys to seeing a mistake as not a mistake, as a opportunity. That was gross. I had some phlegm. It was so bad I forgot where I was. Having fun with life. Kind of like a video game. It's because we take it too seriously. So, just like a video game, if we treat it, and I know this sounds delusional, but I used to play video games just like that, and that's why I had fun. I would go through a puzzle game. You don't sit there and cry. You bought the game. You wanted to play the puzzles. You wanted to get through it. You wanted to be challenged. In fact, I feel that all the time. If a game is not challenging for me, I just drop it. It's like, this is too easy. I'm literally being led on a leash. Like, what's the point of this? I do want challenge. People actually crave struggle. I know it sounds fucking weird. But sometimes people actually do crave struggle. And you're like, okay. So, being a healthy struggle, though. Where am I going with this? I'm starting to derail here. I can feel myself degrounding. Nah, I think this is the end of the message. I'm starting to get a little foggy. Pull back. That's how you have fun. Not that I'm saying don't take life seriously, but you treat life like a game. Because in a game, you're having fun. It's a puzzle. You're supposed to solve the puzzle. That's the point of the puzzle. It's fun. Maybe that's not fun to some people, but I've always enjoyed strategy games. I've always enjoyed using my brain. So you buy, like Legend of Zelda, for the puzzles. It's one giant fucking puzzle game. And it's fun. For the most part. Now, even though you bought the game and you thought it was going to be fun, you get through some of the puzzles and you struggle. I know I do. They piss me off. I get stumped, I get frustrated because I can't figure it out. But then you look for help, or you seek guidance, or you solve it. You think of it in a different way. And then you solve the problem. Just like a puzzle in a video game. I'm not saying treat life like a video game, I'm saying play life like a video game. Play life as if the mentality. So don't be delusional. I'm saying none of this is real, but have the same mentality of the mechanics. Okay, I have a challenge. I have a puzzle. How am I going to go about this? What tools do I have in my disposal? Silent Hill was one of my favorite games. That one made you critical think out the ass. It's literally like, oh, you open up your inventory, I've got 10 different keys, a wrench, and a rubber hose. What kind of MacGyver-ass shit am I supposed to do with this? It's like, what? What? And then that game is actually a perfect example of thinking outside the box. You walk up, and here's a puzzle. And it's like, oh look, it's a leaky faucet. And it's like, oh, well let me just take out that wrench. That's not for that job. It's like, what? You try to use it, and it's specific. It's a specific key, almost like a code. So even though you have a wrench, logically, in the game, that should make sense. You have a wrench, and you should be able to do it. But the game logic says no. You need a specific tool for this job, and even though you have a tool that would kind of work, that's not kind of the answer. It's kind of. So the game was black and white. It's yes and no. So you're like, okay. Well, sometimes other games you actually had to combine the items and create a new one. Like one of my favorite games was MDK or MDK2. That one, you had to be a scientist, and he actually didn't have a gun. He didn't have a weapon. So what he had to do was he used his brain, and he went around and actually grabbed a bunch of different items, and the game would give you clues and say, hey, this can be combined with something. You're like, interesting. Okay. Click. No. Click. No. Click. Ooh, flamethrower. Yeah. So, it's that fun. That excitement. God, I really hope I'm absorbing my own information, because this is something I really needed to hear. And I can bet it's something someone else needed to hear as well. I really wish Dairy Queen was open. God, that has been sitting in the back of my mind this whole time. I wanted a Blizzard. Alright. We're gonna call it quits here. I'm gonna go find me some ice cream somewhere else. But in the meantime, deuces. Is that actually it? Yeah. Life is a video game. Have fun.